Welcome to The Hypnotist, the show that gives you inside access to cutting-edge hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. Brought to you by the hypnotherapist demanded by celebrities, CEOs, and even royalty, Adam Cox. These recordings took place live from Adam's clinic in London's world-famous Harley Street. This podcast features powerful hypnosis, so do not listen while driving or operating machinery. This recording is not suitable for those with epilepsy or severe mental health issues. So, get yourself comfortable and enjoy today's episode of The Hypnotist.
Hi, it's Adam here, and in this episode of The Hypnotist, you'll be listening to a hypnosis session created for a client that had this feeling that a significant past disappointment was impacting their ability to make helpful and useful choices for the kind of future that they wanted. And it was really about keeping them safe. It was safe from the disappointment. And disappointment requires work. It requires either expectations, desires, certain things, conditions almost, that creates the feeling of disappointment. For this particular client, they felt that they were, in many ways, the best version of them that they'd been for a long time, and that they were severely let down. And because of that, it brought about the kind of attitude of, well, what's the point then? Or I'm not going to make that mistake again. And that's not unusual, because people like to learn from their past to avoid falling in the same pit holes again. The problem is that sometimes these lessons are too liberally applied and quite often out of context. So it comes from a good place, really good intention, but it can actually lead to an impediment to the quality of life that's desired. So there's a few things happening in this session. One is a perspective of looking at the past in a particular way to extract the value. It's not unusual for people, if they've had a traumatic moment, to relive it as if it's happening. That's not ideal. So being disassociated from that, extracting the value. But then also there is a powerful metaphor that takes the principle of learned helplessness and highlights that people evolve and things change over time. And what was the right thing to do many years ago isn't necessarily the right thing to do now, because invariably people change in the meantime. So this will be a useful session if you've either suffered from a big disappointment or that you feel helpless in certain areas of your life. Then you might find that this is actually quite a helpful session for you. If you like the idea of hypnosis and think it might be able to help your specific situation, either check out my website, adamcox.co.uk, or if you look in the show notes, you'll see a link to schedule a free 30-minute consultation call to explore working with me. For now, though, find a quiet, comfortable place that you won't be disturbed, relax, and enjoy the session. Take a deep breath in, and as you breathe in a slow, long breath of resourceful relaxation, breathing in a sense of serenity and calmness, And as you exhale, allowing any residual feelings of tension or stress to feel like it's leaving your body in your outward breath. So as you breathe in and breathe out, feel how wonderful it feels to start to let go. Letting go of stress and worries, but also letting go of those things that have been holding you back. Labels, ideas, beliefs about who you are and what you're capable of. As you breathe in and breathe out, just become aware of where tension exists for you. There may be subtle clues. A muscle tense when it doesn't need to be tense. A restriction to the rhythm and pace of your breathing. Maybe a tightness in your jaw or your shoulders. Or maybe fingers or toes are fidgeting and they can just now relax. As you breathe in and breathe out, I want you to imagine there is a child's slide, perhaps the kind of slide you would see at a circus, a helter-skelter. Imagine how it would feel to be at the top of that helter-skelter, looking down. And just imagine that down at the bottom of that helter-skelter is a circus that represents the playful part, the imaginative part of your unconscious mind. So as I count down from 5 to 1, imagine the sensation you would feel sliding down that spiral slide all the way down to the bottom. And imagine feeling deeper and deeper relaxed. But as your body relaxes, your imagination wakens. Starting to slide down the slide. 5. Relaxing, breathing slower. 4. Feeling the downward descent. 3. An element of exhilaration or dizziness. 2, and then 1. Feel like you're coming to the end, and then 1 and then 0. Just feel like you're now at the bottom of that slide, but also at a deeper part where your imagination can create new ways of thinking that work for you rather than against you. As you imagine walking around the circus, I want you to imagine a baby elephant, maybe just months old, there in the circus, and there is a rope around its leg attached to a large wooden post. As much as the baby elephant tries, the rope is too thick and the post too deep into the ground. Observe as the baby elephant struggles to get away. And before long, notice the expression on the face of the elephant as it starts to accept its fate. that because try as it might, it can't leave the post that it's attached to. It stops trying. And I want you to imagine what it would feel like to be that elephant. To feel that doing anything different that you've done before is a waste of time. That you've learned to be helpless. And as you imagine the sense of giving up, I want you to recall a memory of the past where you were let down, a memory of the past where you were disappointed. Only this time, I want you to observe the memory. Observe the memory like you're peering back at the memory looking through a glass window. Observing what happened almost like a bystander. See the age you were, what happened. See your reaction. And perhaps observing what happens gives you a new perspective, new knowledge. You can have all of the wisdom in the world, but if it's too close, you can't read it. So imagine observing what happened from a distance. New perspectives, new knowledge. But also take the wisdom that you now have back to that moment. And as you observe, what if some of the evaluations you made back then felt like they were true, but weren't true? It's not uncommon for people in a moment of severe disappointment, expectations dashed, to make black and white generalizations, to avoid feeling let down or hurt in the future. And while that might be helpful for a few days, even a week or so, what could be helpful in the short term can be detrimental in the long term. And as you observe what happened, add the perspective of time. And I wonder what you would say to that younger version of you. Not in terms of what was right or wrong, but what is useful and helpful to that younger version of you. So imagine shortly after the moment, there's an opportunity to provide the most useful, helpful knowledge possible. Perhaps to change an evaluation so that what's seen as there isn't a generalization about how things are, but more about the specific things that happened back then. What if what happened back then was meant to be a stepping stone to future decisions and directions, not a rope to hold you back? So imagine having that conversation with that younger version of you. And maybe you can see new neural pathways joining together when new evaluations get made. I want you to give that younger version of you a hug and tell them not to make a permanent evaluation on a short-term thing. As you leave that moment in time, open your mind to new ways of thinking. As you reflect on the past event, each and every breath transforms disappointment into a lesson of strength. Imagine that disappointment not as an anchor to hold you back, but as a stepping stone that in some way it can help move you forward. They say there is treasure in the trauma, and I wonder what treasure you can extract from that moment back then. As you let go of those past expectations, fill the space with the power of appreciation, turning a closed door into an open door, empowering you to take the paths that you've been avoiding. Start to feel that it might be safe to do things that help you to become the very best version of you. Being the best version of you is not a recipe for disappointments, but the foundation of fulfillment. So feel the freedom that comes with reevaluating the past, turning a letdown into a setup for something greater. What if that past disappointment was just one chapter in your story, not the narrative for the rest of your life? So with each inhale, draw in strength from your disappointments, and with each exhale, release any tension and feel power in everything there is to appreciate. Because what if disappointments are teachers offering you a lesson that in some way enriches not that moment, but future moments? It's time to leave that place and time. And as you return, find yourself back in the body of a circus elephant, still attached to that rope on your leg. And the rope is attached to a post. But what if years have gone by and you're not the helpless version of you that you were before, but stronger and powerful? Maybe you did learn to be helpless, but now you're different from who you were before. So if you choose to still be attached to the post, to the rope, it's now a choice, not a chain. Feel how much stronger you are as you start walking away from that post, and notice how easily the rope pulls at the post, uproots the post, and feel a liberating sense of freedom, as what was holding you back wasn't what happened, but the sense of powerlessness and helplessness that you've been holding on to for so long. So feel that wonderful sense of freedom. Or choose. Choose to be tied to a post, limiting your options, giving you certainty, but certainly not happiness or fulfillment. So as you walk forward into what freedom represents for you, notice you're not the elephant, but you. Look down at your hands, your feet, feel like you're in your own body. And I want you to return to that helter-skelter. But this time, climb up the stairs. And as you climb up the stairs, feel like you're returning to the present moment. And very soon I will count from 1 to 10 to awaken you as you take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your nose. Wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes, feeling like you're coming back to full consciousness and awareness. As I count to awaken you, you will awaken feeling resourceful, positive, deciding that learned helplessness was not a label to define you. It's just a belief system. And you can choose to be attached to the past, or you can choose to walk away from it, wiser and stronger than ever before, starting to count to awaken you. 1, 2, 3, waking up. 4, 5, 6, more alert. 7, 8, open your eyes, open your eyes. 9, 10, wide awake, wide awake, wide awake.
Thank you for listening to The Hypnotist with Adam Cox, the show that gives you inside access to cutting-edge hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. To automatically receive the latest episodes, please subscribe. If you'd like to support the show, please share this episode with just one friend you think it could help. And if this episode helped you, please leave us a 5-star review.